the majority is going to weapons that are used indiscriminately. According to Israel, they've killed about 60 Hamas people. And how many Palestinians have died? 15,000.
You would have to be forced to believe everything that she's saying because, like, it's new information.
Then some
It's a
people,
terrible systemic issue that's happening,
and I feel like that should be
are suffering because it's not fair to them. It's absolutely not fair to them, and especially
Yeah.
and like you're very passionate about this. There's a lot more people like you. It's not fair to be treated this way.
Yeah, for sure.
You have a lot of areas in the world that are not being colonized by the United States. The question is it okay for somebody from that area to start killing American civilians here because of what some of the government is doing? And it's not.
The statistic that I read on the UN's document about it was 3 million went to the martyr support, and only 1 million went to welfare. I think it's fucking awful. I think it's where it literally says the more Jews you kill, the more money you make. Yes,
but there was a 2-year ceasefire. So now when I hear people say ceasefire, it's like what? So Hamas could send more rockets. And there was also another ceasefire
Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah. History's a little.
Yeah, I was having third Oh God. Oh God. America started to increase its support of Palestine since 1945, and till this day America sends massive weapons to so much money to Israel. I believe, I don't want to say something if I don't remember the statistic correctly, but about the minority of them, a lot of people justify that by saying a lot of it goes to, for example, the Israeli protection system, right? But that's a minority of the amount of money that America's sending. The majority is going to weapons that are used indiscriminately. According to Israel, they've killed about 60 Hamas people. And how many Palestinians have died? 15,000.
You would have to be forced to believe everything that she's saying because, it's new. All the deaths that Israel is causing, it is absolutely terrible. I don't justify it, but when one country attacks another, the civilians suffer. Unfortunately, when somebody tells me something new, I cannot tell them that you're wrong. For example, my grandmother, she told me a story about how she saw her uncle get killed by the Nazis, right? Who am I to say hey, you're making this up, right? And the same thing with the Nakba, right? There are people who are hey, this is people saying their actual experience with the Nakba. So I cannot say, hey, you're recounting this memory that you're wrong. So everything that she's saying, you're actually forced to believe it. But imagine you stay with everything that she said, right? And then you don't change your mind about everything. Would that be right? Is she 100% right about everything that she's saying? She's right about a lot of things. She's right that the U.S. is starting to, that they've been sending weapons and everything. And yeah, she's not right. She's not wrong about that. The Iron Dome. Let's say, would you agree with the Iron Dome? Do you feel like they should have that? Let's take away the JDAMs and the precision-guided missiles and all those other things, because I've actually talked to somebody who had 7 family members who died, 7 Palestinian family members who died, and it's terrible. So the 15,000 number, it's maybe it's less, maybe it's even more.
The numbers come with specific identification numbers that come from Israeli. The Israeli states the names of the Palestinians.
But
those identification numbers, that's what the health ministry.
Even if it's less and even if it's more,
and
it's bad.
Yeah,
right? Sure. All right, so that's what we could agree on, right? Okay. Sorry. No, I'm just interested in the history.
No, absolutely. Yeah, she's in politics. So that's why
I'm really interested in this stuff too, and I feel like without a discussion about uncomfortable truths or other people's perspectives on both sides, there is a 0% of peace. If we only say one thing, it cannot change.
I'm totally willing to hear people out. I just don't think my position on that children die.
Drop it. Mine either. So the way that the way that I'm seeing this is that all the deaths that Israel is causing, it is absolutely terrible. I don't justify it, but when one country attacks another, the civilians suffer. Unfortunately, whether it's here or Ukraine, Russia, and Azerbaijan and Armenia, whatever it is, when the government, either Hamas or Israel, makes a decision to attack the other side, the civilians will suffer, and I don't like that.
For sure, yeah, I completely agree with that. I just think that sometimes we restrict our definition of attack to just military attacks, and we don't take into consideration the fact that Israel has been aggressing against Palestine in lots of other ways, such as literally expelling Palestinians en masse from their homes and attacking them in
and
their
it's not
mosques.
right, and it's not right.
Yeah.
But it's also not right when Syria does it, when Lebanon does it. I know, we're not. I don't know. It's not. It's not fair when Jordan does it. It's not as a blockade. Yeah. Both Israel and Egypt have the blockade. Yeah. So it's not fair when they do it too. My problem is like the intense focus on Israel. Israel's the number that Israel's killing, and the level of impact, the level of devastation that Israel has caused is not even. What's happening now? I actually don't. I think it's a little too much.
Too much.
Oh,
it's a lot. Okay, it's a lot too much. But not only is it too much, it's like what's going to be the outcome? Like what? Now you're going to have to occupy it again.
And this isn't a new thing, by the way. Let's be clear. The level, like even before, we're talking about the same level of disproportionality, even from before, whether we're talking about 2014 or 2009. The number of Israelis killed, regardless, horrible, 100%. I'm not disputing that.
Really?
What?
You're not disputing. Wait, so
I'm not disputing that Israelis dying in 2014 and 2009 by Hamas attacks, like civilians, was wrong. I'm not disputing that, but I'm still saying, even back then, it was massively disproportionate, and that doesn't change. That has never changed.
So that's the problem. There's people like you who are like, okay, it's actually like I actually don't agree with like the Israeli civilian deaths, and then there's other people who actually do, and because there's good people like you, it caused a lot of problems for good people like you. Good people.
Okay, I agree. People will say unreasonable, immoral statements that civilians should die. Immoral. Yes, but the root cause on a systemic level is still in the geopolitical. It's not just like it can't be reduced to random people are saying bad things. And that shouldn't be the focus, in my honest opinion. The fact that this many people are dying, the fact that this many people have been expelled from their homes for years, the fact that Palestinians for years have just randomly had their electricity cut out, then some
it's a
people
terrible systemic issue that's happening, and
I feel like that should be
are suffering because it's not fair to them. It's absolutely not fair to them, and especially
yeah.
And like you're very passionate about this. There's a lot more people like you. It's not fair to be treated this way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think the moral of the story too is at the end of the day, people get arrested because they're killing someone and they get put into jail. But it's no different from what the government does to people in masses. They're supposed to lead by example, yet they're not really.
The United States, I think, killed like 1 million people in Iraq. They've done a lot of colonization too, and we have a lot of areas in the world that are not being colonized by the United States. The question is it okay for somebody from that area to start killing American civilians here because of what some of the government is doing? And it's not.
Nobody would justify bombing a building because there's a couple of shooters inside if it was New York City. Nobody would justify that.
It's happened, not in New York City, but problems. Okay, but it's a little different. So the same, I think in like the 70s or 80s, something similar to that happened where the police, they had to bomb. I forgot where they had to bomb a certain building, and I think some civilians died. But that was maybe it was in the 90s. But that's when the crime here was 100 times worse than anywhere else. Than the way it is.
I'm just saying the exchange rate, right?
The exchange rate is not good.
It's an ironic term.
It's not good. Okay, but would you
that wouldn't be. You've got to acknowledge that there's a difference between how we view the value of American life versus the value of life in the Middle East, where we can justify killing 100 times more civilians for one Hamas militant. But we would never talk about that if it was like a school shooting. We would never do that.
Yes, and because like the thing that happened in Texas, I think Uvalde or something, like we didn't nuke that, we didn't bomb that school,
No,
right?
the police force is incompetent. They don't even know how to deal with it.
They did not. Yeah, that wasn't.
That was crazy. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's a different thing. It was stupid. Like,
Anyway.
yeah, too many people died because of that.
I definitely agree that we need to look at both sides. I think the reason why that kind of gets me a little defensive is because I think a lot of both sides' narratives have existed for a long time, where we pretend in geopolitical conflict, especially in conflict that the West is involved in, that, oh, both sides, you know, they have their points, when in reality, there clearly is a disproportionality on one side. There clearly is a lot more injustice on one side. And when we make the narrative seem a bit too balanced, we're not really showing the reality on the ground.
There's propaganda on both sides. That's where I'll agree. On both sides. Because you have to. If you want to win a war, you have to have propaganda on both sides. Have you ever heard of protector parts?
Protective parts?
Protector parts. It's in psychology, internal family systems therapy. We all have protector parts, and they don't keep us safe. They keep a child's self safe when the child was like, let's say, abused or they went through trauma in the past. And sometimes when you see older people that do really bad things, it's the protector part doing bad things to keep a child safe. So what I like to do is I like to ask people like, what would be bad if we stopped doing this and stopped doing that? So if you ask like the Israelis, right, what would be bad if we get rid of the Iron Dome, and what would be bad? Why would it be bad if we stopped, bombing areas in Gaza? They're gonna say one thing, and then we could also ask, what would be bad about Gaza not sending any more rockets into Israel? Well, it's like it would be bad because then we would have to give up, and then give up to the colonial oppression by the Israelis, right? So that's what I like to look at.
And that's reasonable. I agree with that. I for sure think that there's value, even though I'm extremely pro-Palestinian, I for sure think that there is value in seeing the Israeli point of view, just because I think when you live in like an echo chamber, you naturally are going to see more sources that agree with your side, and you might see some facts that might be uncomfortable to you. I still don't think that those facts actually change my position, but I still see value in knowing them, just so I can understand them and incorporate them into my worldview. However, I still do think that when we create narratives, right, when we depict this issue, it is immoral to make it seem like things are balanced, because it's not.
I'm looking at the imbalance too. I'm looking at the imbalance from militarily. Israel has too much support, but I'm also looking at the balance of the Palestinians. They have actually a lot of media support. All of the major news medias in the United States and the world, they're actually against Israel. Their military, like their media campaign is actually, except Fox. Fox is the only one. Fox the only one that protects
It
Israel.
really depends who you are, and before I talk to anyone about it, I always ask, what is your Instagram feed looking like? Like, what are you seeing? Because, like, my friend was posting a lot of pro-Palestine stuff, and I was like, are you, like, why do you, not why do you post this, but, like, it was a lot. So, she was kind of like, it's because I'm seeing so much, like, violently pro-Israel things on my feed. It's kind of like, I forget what the fuck I'm saying, but, you know.
What I see is that the more extreme pro-Palestine stuff people see, then they try to do even more extreme pro-Israel, then more extreme pro-Palestine, and the more we try to like talk, the more we separate. That's what I'm seeing. And I noticed that if I try to talk to somebody who's like in opposition to like some of my beliefs, a lot of times they just don't talk.
Shut down.
They don't talk. They just unfriend me. They never want to talk, and I don't think it's fair. I think that like what me and you are doing right now, I think that's really good. Even if you're not going to change your mind, at least you will see the perspective of somebody else. Even if I'm not going to change my mind,
Just because you're willing to
agree
hear.
when you disagree.
What do you know about Israel and creation of Hamas? Like,
I know that Israel helped fund Hamas when it newly emerged.
When? I just don't know much about it. That's what I'm asking.
I think it was like 90s or early 2000s, something
I think
like
early
that.
2000s.
Something like that.
They funded it, or they?
They funded it. for Hamas incredibly disingenuous because they didn't.
It's not.
It's far more complicated. Yeah.
I mean, as in everything with this.
Yeah.
You really have to know what you're talking about, and you clearly do.
Is there a different? Sorry to cut you off. Is there a different political party in Gaza that you feel like will be better for them, or do you feel like it's mainly the decisions of the Israelis, or do you feel like it's a combination of both?
Is it not just Hamas?
Repeat that question.
Like, is there another organization? Because there are different factions, right? And Hamas is just in charge of everything. But is there a different one that would have a higher probability of bringing, like, an end to the violence?
Right, okay. So I'm not that educated on the political parties in Gaza. I know some things about the political parties in the West Bank.
Yeah, I know a little about
but I don't know
that.
much about Gaza. I don't even know if,
there really aren't any.
Yeah,
like the whole thing is
not meaningfully anyway.
No, yeah, like
Yeah.
it is a de facto government, which means that is their government.
Yeah.
Like they make the rules. There
and
really
most of the
isn't
people
any,
in
and they keep
Gaza right
them-
now are, oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
Go
don't
ahead.
worry. They keep them kind of. They don't treat them well. All the people in Gaza are, I don't know, they're poor and they are malnourished. A lot of them can't get a second job, and that correlates with the pay for slay laws, which is like they get paid for being martyrs basically, and they pay their family, which is separate from actual government welfare. Like it's a completely different program where it literally says you get more money based on how many Jews you kill, which is formed by Hamas. You can look it up, guys.
I'm gonna look
Sources,
into
UN.
because I haven't heard of it, so like.
No, yeah, I did post something about it because I realized I talked to my Israeli friends and they didn't know anything. So I didn't know if it was a well-known thing, but yeah, they keep their people. Oh, hey.
I'm sorry that I interrupted your discussion. I want.
Could I get your Instagram? No, I'd be
We
so
really
talk-
appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, I actually passed by this and I was like, oh.
No,
I saw
I'm
it.
so tempted right
I
now.
was like, should I talk to them? And I was like, oh.
Yeah, because you speak
I
very
actually just came
respectfully.
here to look at that charity thing.
Oh.
Sorry for the interruption.
This is me.
Okay.
Like your incredibly pro-Palestinian friend you mentioned.
Can I ask you a quick question before you go?
Wait, what is it?
Do you think that peace with Israel is possible, or do you feel like they would
Yes.
have to?
I think if peace were to be possible, that needs justice first. Because,
Hey, no
justice,
no peace.
yeah. And I don't mean that as a political slogan. I mean, peace
As a
won't be possible.
humanitarian.
No. I mean, peace won't be possible until justice is enacted, until Palestinians get equal rights, until Palestinians get the bare minimum of treatment. Peace won't happen. You can destroy Hamas potentially by destroying Gaza, by killing thousands of people. Another Hamas will emerge. Because you can kill Hamas. You cannot kill their political will by murdering more people. That is, like, from a human point of view, put yourself in their position for 1 second. If people bombed your families, your neighbors, your friends, everything in the name of killing a terrorist, in the name of killing a terrorist organization, they bombed all the civilians around. You'd form a terrorist organization too. Like you'd become. I'm not talking about you.
I was
I'm just
you
talking
would do
about
it.
like you'd. People will radicalize if you kill their family members, if you kill their friends, if you kill.
I think that's kind of the same thing with Israel, because I mean, obviously it's completely unbalanced because the IDF is ridiculously funded and ridiculously powerful, but I think the motivation lies in the fact that people are out to kill Jews. That is their motive, and it's in their charter. And
It was in their old charter. The
yeah,
current
what
Hamas
is
They
their
still have the
charter?
same. It's what they teach in the schools.
Yeah, and
They-
the son of the founder of Hamas actually just spoke at UMish, where my friend goes to school. She went to see there's a video of it, but yeah, he spoke about how he is basically like one of the most wanted men by that group because in Iran and also just everywhere that supports towards Hamas that
Even if
Yeah.
you want to seek peace
that
with
what?
Israel, then
that Jews should be that Israel should be.
even if you're Palestinian who wants to seek
specifically.
peace with Israel, like they actually see you as like not corrupt, but like you're going against your
Who
country.
sees you that way?
The one Hamas, 100%. If they find out, then they kill you, and they're having cases of that.
Hamas
if they
kills
fi-
you if you want to.
If you support like peace with Israel, you can't
Is
support.
there a
peace.
source on that?
I don't know if that's
because
true.
I've heard. God, I wish I had this memorized
Right.
because I remember something, but you know what? If I don't remember all the details, I won't talk about it. But I'd like to hear a source on that.
I've seen interviews of people in Palestine, but
Saying what?
saying that you can't you cannot ask for peace with Israel. Or
And
if you're
where were these interviews taken?
in some of the cities in Gaza.
And where was it published? I'd like to
So
see it,
if you
that's why.
if you look up Israeli interviews and Palestinian interviews, there's one guy he actually videos both sides, and it's actually pretty cool. And I had to
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So he's interviewed like a lot of people, Palestinians who are actually like, hey, I actually want peace, and some people are like, we can't have it at all. And like
I don't
we
think
can't
the
you can't search for
Palestinians are blaming Hamas as the primary source of that.
They're not. No.
Well,
I think clearly.
Yeah, people in Gaza they don't really have any control over that kind of. I mean, in terms of like government, like a decision like that, I feel like
It's sad that there's so many good Palestinians, but there's also a lot of really bad Palestinians. And it's sad that they fuck everything.
I don't think
I think
qualifying
that
language
phrasing
is.
Okay, all right.
incredibly
All right. Okay,
dehumanizing.
I'll be there. I'll
You
be
know,
there. I'll
you
meet you
wouldn't
there.
say if the KKK pops up, oh, there are a lot of bad Americans, but I'm glad
right.
there are some good. We don't say that.
Right?
Okay, I was trying to simplify, but you're right. I should be more
You
careful.
can't simplify that.
Unfortunately,
Unfortunately.
people with ill intentions for others and even for girl people.
I mean, it's kind
It's
of
a little bit more complicated.
Yeah.
for
All
sure.
Yeah.
I know a decent amount about the early history of Palestine. I don't have the later history of Palestine in the more recent years memorized too well.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the
Yeah,
if it's honest,
like
but I know
have
about the early.
vague, but that's why I can't talk to you too much about that.
And I'm gonna look into what you said. Like, I want the source on that. Like, I don't want to be saying stuff that's inaccurate. So
I'd be
it's
like
what I heard. So I
quadruple checking my sources.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have that.
I think Miss Girl has a class.
Yeah, great
Yeah.
class.
Thank you again. Do your thing. Do your thing. God bless you, okay?
Bye, Miss Girl. Wait, let me share a QR code with you.
You got to continue.
So it's separate from welfare, but the families of martyrs will get paid. I don't know how often, but there's more money the more Jews you kill. I think you can't deny the anti-Semitic, just like you can't deny the systemic oppression that Israel has, enacted upon Palestine. You can't deny the anti-Semitism. It's blatant.
How are your friends on social media and stuff interacting with all this?
Well, my best friend and my other best friend, who I've grown up with, are Jewish Israeli. They took a gap year in Israel last year, and my immediate reaction to October 7th was they literally would have been murdered if they were still there, not 6 months ago. And they were literally there protesting Israeli occupation of Palestine. They were in Tel Aviv protesting.
Oh, so they're leftists.
Yeah, they do not support the IDF, but they were still horrified, obviously, at what happened, and they were horrified at people's inhumanity. The thing that I won't forget is, I know this is awful, but on October 7th, I will not forget the people who immediately started saying Free Palestine, who immediately started saying, what did they say? they immediately started saying, this is the result of oppression. This is anti-Semitism. That is just blatant we're gonna kill as many people as possible. Not vive la révolution. It's like, it's very blatant. And it was, yeah. I mean, obviously it is very different now that, you know, they are committing genocide. But beforehand, I'm still shocked by that.
How do you feel about like the pro-Palestinian protests and crowds here?
How do you feel about it? Well, you asked me first. But, yeah.
I've tried talking to them and they don't talk. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
They don't know what to say because most of them are uneducated. Because these people they're not like her, they're not like us. They don't check their sources. You know, they're not trying. I think a lot of it is herd mentality, and a lot of it is, this is a cause they can support, and I'm a liberal, and yay, you know?
Isn't that like the most dangerous thing, supporting something like what else?
Yeah, yes, and ignorance is the most dangerous thing, but people aren't afraid, you know?
You know what I think is more dangerous than the ignorance? Because I've seen some of the ignorance. The most dangerous thing that I see is there are some of the people who are organizing everything. When you give them like a fact that they did not like know about, then they just stop talking. Whenever it's something that contradicts what they believe,
they will shut their mouths.
Yeah.
And because people hate being proved wrong. Unfortunately, a lot of people, you know, don't have the maturity to admit, oh, I was incorrect about that. You know. And you know, my best friend was involved in a co-ed fraternity at Michigan. And one of the, she posted on her story, I'm open to conversation, kind of like you right now. I'm open to conversation if anyone wants to talk about my opinion. Because, you know, she was pretty pro-Israel, not blatantly, it was very kind of neutral when she was posting, but one of the sort of like administrative heads of the fraternity swiped up and was like, hi, like, I just want to know what you think. And she's like, yeah, I'm open to conversation. And then the administrative person was kind of like, do you think Palestine should be free? And refused to hear anything unless she said that. And she's like, oh no, it's a little more complex than that. Do you think Palestine should be free? Say it or not. And she dropped out of the frat. She was like, I can't, like, and that was before any attacks on Palestine happened. Just genuinely, I want you to tell me why the killing of Jews was justified. I just can't stand it. Are you Jewish?
Yes.
I'm not. I'm not Jewish.
Well, which actually, I like it so much when like non-Jews are like.
No, my friends are very, very proud of me.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I literally texted her. I was like, this guy in the park says, like, should I do it? She's like, hell yeah, dude. Go do it. You know your shit. Like, yeah, I'm very passionate about it because, especially because I always think like they were there not too long ago and they would have been fucking dead. So.
Did they lean more right after that, or are they still leftist, but like they just?
We have the same opinion. We agree because we do not believe that what the IDF is doing is good. I mean, they were literally protesting the occupation because they understand that, you know, civilians are mistreated and there's blatant, I guess it's racism, yeah, against both sides, but mainly because the power dynamic is so imbalanced. It's, you know, it's the IDF fucking around, and everyone's enlisted in the IDF. So, you know, you get anyone. It's kind of like how, I don't know, boys want to be cops just because they want to shoot a gun, you know? It's kind of, you might get some difficult people within that when you literally make everyone enlist. So,
what do you think about the ceasefire in 2021 that lasted until October 7th?
How's that?
Because in 2021 there were also like a rocket barrage that happened, and I remember vividly because I remember how the
I don't know too much about that, but
Yeah.
yes.
But there was a 2-year ceasefire. So
Yeah.
now when I hear people say ceasefire, it's like what? So Hamas could like send more rockets. And there was also another ceasefire like.
Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was another ceasefire like 4 days ago. Everybody's begging
I know,
ceasefire
but-
now. And
well,
then,
it's just because the exchange of the hostages. I mean.
and Hamas still sent more rockets 15 minutes after the ceasefire.
Yeah. I mean, it's also hard with everything because I know there's so much propaganda. I mean, I have friends that are so pro-Israel and friends that are so pro-Palestine, and a lot of the pro-Israel opinion is kind of like the super pro-Israel opinion is that like Hamas well, their base was in that hospital that they bombed. They keep their networks underneath schools and mosques and hospitals.
Which is what they're using the cement for. That she was like, they're not getting any cement. That's what they're using it for. They're using the cement to
my
build
God.
the tunnels and stuff.
Wait, you're so right. Anyway, exposing. Fucking. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but yeah, they tell people, oh, let's all gather here because people get paid to be martyrs. If your son gets killed, it sucks, but lucky like God bless, he's a martyr. He's doing something for his country, and he's also giving us dough. And it's also completely separate from welfare, because they have a welfare program, but also other countries fund Hamas.
Yeah.
Iran funds Hamas.
Qatar. Wait, does Qatar fund Hamas?
And I don't know all of them, but there's a
Doesn't the United
faction in Australia that funds Hamas.
doesn't the United States fund Hamas?
Probably. I mean, honestly, who knows?
Funding both
who
sides.
Who knows at this point? But yeah. So I think the statistic, I'm probably incorrect, but the statistic that I read on the UN's document about it was, I think, 3 million went to the martyr support, and only 1 million went to welfare.
I need to look that up because I just haven't heard it.
I know, no one has. I think it's fucking awful. I think it's where it literally says, the more Jews you kill, the more money you're going to get. And that can't be ignorant, I think. I think one of the most dangerous things right now is the ignorant, return to anti-Semitism because you don't know any other way to express it. That's what happens a lot in these pro-Palestine rallies that you're talking about, because people don't know any better, and people think it's simple. They see a few words, they see 2 words, Free Palestine, and they're like, yeah, rah rah rah, because it's a cause that they can hop onto and feel something about, I guess.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's ignorance. I think it's like they do have malicious intent, even if it's subconscious. Really? I think so, because if you try to change their mind, you're getting rid of that opportunity for them to stick it to the oppressor, which they think are the Jews.
True. Yeah, but I know obviously there are people who understand that it's the enemy isn't the Jews, and I don't know.
I saw this coming 2 years ago.
Right?
Yeah, I saw because I saw how much they hated the.
It's horrifying that anti-Semitism will literally never go away.
Actually,
that's what upsets me.
Thomas Sowell, he once said that the only way it could go away is if the Jews start failing.
No, literally, because I forget which war this was, but when they invaded Gaza, and they obtained an unprecedented amount of land. I think it was the first war when they were immediately established, and all the Arab nations attacked them.
Yeah.
And they took over a bunch of Egypt because they were like, oh, I didn't mean to do that, but they did it.
The Egypt one,
because they're the chosen people.
The Egypt one, I think it was the 6-Day War. That's when they took over the Sinai Peninsula.
Yeah, you're right. 6-Day War. I'm 99.9% sure. But yeah, they don't mean to do. They just keep. And it's got oh, I mean, yeah, and it's kind of it's kind of crazy to see how much they, have not lost. They haven't. I don't even know if they've lost a war.
No, they would be dead.
Also, they've never. I don't know how accurate this is, but they haven't really started any wars. It's always people attacking them. I don't know if that's true.
They actually did. They started the 6-Day War.
Okay,
but that's because
I think I did hear that and was like, oh.
They saw there was a military buildup from some of the Arab nations, and then they did a preemptive strike. But I think the other ones, like Yom Kippur War, the Arab-Israel War, they all tried it.
There was I forget when. There was a massacre in like 1928, I think. That was, obviously before all this oppression started, quote unquote, 1948. Where once again it's like a target of the Jews. I mean, it's literally. I just can't reason with people who can't admit that there are anti-Semitic themes going around. This is kind of
what I
targeted.
see is like what I mentioned with the protector parts. Is like, what if that was true? Then it would mean like, oh, they think maybe Muslim people would be labeled as bad, and then I need to protect them, so I need to say that like, no, there's no anti-Semitism, especially like on the Muslim part. So like that could be a thing. There's also. It could be a thing. I'm not sure. Yeah. But there's like a reason people are like trying to block that out.
I know, because they don't want to admit they're wrong. And also like, I don't know. Yeah, I think there definitely is a subconscious. I mean, there always is. I mean, it's just kind of every like form of oppression is rooted in what was once propaganda. I mean, the Holocaust will never stop affecting Jews. The result of that. The cause of that will never stop affecting Goyim. Like, they're not gonna. I don't know. I think the propaganda and the ideas are never gonna really go away.
We'll find a solution.
Yeah, for sure.
Through talking.
We're gonna stop anti-Semitism together.
I think it's possible.
Yeah.
Like content, like I'm trying to talk to radical people. I had 3 guys from Algeria come up.
Shit,
yeah,
okay.
and like one of them told his friends about me, and then they were looking.
Like, come on.
They were looking for me.
That's really.
Yeah.
No, I saw you over here and then you disappeared because you went into. I was like, no, where'd you go? Yeah. But wait, was that earlier today?
I went to a few places today. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Was they were pro-Palestine, I assume?
Of course, yeah, they were, but I.